Miigwech, McLeod Singers. Thanks for traveling to be here and sharing your songs. It is now my great honor and pleasure and privilege to invite to the stage our special guest, the screenwriter, the star, and the director of tonight's film Seeds, Kaniehtiio Horn.
We're gonna move a mic stand here real quick.
Is this my spot?
It is now.
All right, thank you so much for joining us here in Anishinaabe King, Marquette.
Nyawa for having me, and Nyawa for everybody coming, and the singers, Nyawa for your song.
Oh man, so what do you think of Marquette? What do you think of Anishinaabe King?
It's beautiful. It's beautiful, and I like this kind of. I mean, it's weird because I felt like, because I'm from around Montreal, and you don't really realize that like this is level with what is actually north from me. So I don't know. It's kind of like a trip to look at it on the map where we are. But no, it's beautiful, and yeah, it's
Awesome. Yeah. Too bad. I'm sorry it rained for you though.
I
but,
know, I was sad about that, but it was cool. I got a bunch of work done.
Yeah, right on. Thank you so much. I'm like kind of a little starstruck here for a moment. Okay.
Whatever, she's been hanging out with me for 24 hours.
So tell us about what is your inspiration? Where did this, film blossom from? And I was gonna say seed, but I decided not to. Where did the film blossom from?
Okay, well, if you're familiar with my career, you would be able to look back and see that I never really played a lot of leads. I'm usually somebody who kind of like comes in, does their thing, and then leaves. And I was kind of just tired of waiting around for somebody to write me or cast me in a leading role. And a lot of my friends around me were making their own stuff. Like my friend Vanessa Matsui, she made this web series called Ghost BFF, and she cast herself in it, and then she directed an episode and stuff, and I was like, maybe I should do something. And I was working on this movie that was like very particularly like really just rough physically, and it was just a hard one, and there was like toxic stuff on set, and I remember just thinking like I want to like make a fun movie with people that I love, and like it's fun coming to work, and I'm liking what I'm putting on screen, and I want to do stunts, and I want there to be blood, and I want it to be funny. I was like, shit, I guess I gotta write something. So I basically started with something. I mean, I was always taught, one, by my mother, who encouraged my writing when I was like in elementary school and in high school, and then by another teacher in theater school. They always said, keep it simple and write about what you know to start off, right? And so I was like, the simple concept of Home Alone. That was truly my inspiration, was Home Alone. And just a home invasion movie. That, and then there was this other movie called Hush. Does anybody know it? It's like it's like she's deaf, and she's in her home, and there's an intruder that's trying to get in, and this and that. And I remember seeing that, and I was like, this is so smart, I'm sure it hardly costs very much money. There's like 3 people in it, and one person doesn't even talk. But so I was kind of inspired by those two, and I wanted to make something that like I didn't want the intruder or the bad guy to be trying to get money, because I just found that's like fucking boring and done, cliche, and so I was like, what could he be trying to get, And I was like, oh, it'd be funny if it was like, well, I was kind of like, what would I die for? Not money. And I thought corned beans and squash seeds would kind of be funny. and then it just snowballed from there, and it turned into this like food sovereignty movie, like totally anti-colonial, like badass thing. I did not expect it to be like this crazy. I really set out to write a stoner movie. And and then it turned into this. I was like, I just wanted it to be dumb. And so yeah, that's kind of basically how it started. And then I met these people, or not, I didn't meet them, I already knew them, and I hadn't seen them in a very long time, these producers, Leonard and Jen, and they were like, we want to work with you, you know, do you have any ideas? I was like, I got this kind of weird idea. And they were like, we'll get you money to, you know, like kind of write the treatment and this and that, and then and then it just like snowballed from there. And I ended up meeting this woman, because these two people were not Indigenous, and there was a lot of things in my script and in my concept that they're super awesome, and they were well-meaning, and they would get it when I would explain it to them mostly, but I was like, I need an Indigenous person on this, and hopefully an Indigenous woman. And I had met this woman, Eva Thomas, in 2018, and I knew she was a story editor. She's an Anishinaabe, and she's also Tohono O'odham. Yeah, she's from Walpole Island, and so I reached out to her and I said, I have this thing, and would you like take a look at it? She's like, I've been waiting for you to contact me. I was like, oh, okay. And that was the beginning of beautiful friendship, and she really helped me sort of explain or defend some of my concepts and ideas throughout the process. So yeah, that's kind of a long-winded answer, but yeah.
Yeah, I think, well, it comes to, for my mind, I'm thinking of Tuscarora artist Jolene Rickert, who really in 1996, already almost 30 years ago, came up with this visual sovereignty, right? And this idea that has now exploded to cinematic sovereignty, expressive sovereignty. So having that, when you had that person, even though you knew what you were trying to say, how valuable was it for you to then say, yeah, we have a team of people, if I needed to, you know, understand what I'm trying to do and share on the screen?
I mean, it felt like I wasn't crazy, because, I mean, this was my first time I ever wrote anything. Up until then, I think I wrote a short film, and yeah, but feature is like a whole other level. And she was with me every step of the way, like beginning at a certain point, and it just felt like I wasn't crazy. Like kind of like when you go to therapy and then they're like, you do this because of this, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm not crazy, I'm traumatized. Just kidding.
Having that validation though.
Yeah, exactly. And then it wasn't, I mean, really, it wasn't only her. She was sort of like the first one, and then I would talk to my boyfriend, and I'd be like, what about this? Do you think this is funny? And he didn't really know the entire, but I would just, like jokes or like little things here and there. And he would, give me his reaction. And then, having people on set, when I gave the script to the actors, every Indigenous actor just got it. I didn't have to explain much, and the non-Indigenous ones, I think it was a little bit like, what? And I'm like, it's okay, just trust me. And and then I'm just talking about the people who kind of validated me along the way, and the other huge validation, aside from my family, but I got this grant from the Indigenous Screen Office called the Sector Development Program. And I was able to bring, because we shot in North Bay, actually, which is just around here, kind of, right? Sort of.
There's a big,
but it's northeast, and it's definitely not Mohawk territory. So I shot Letterkenny up there. I used mostly the Letterkenny crew, the wardrobe stylists, all of these people that I already knew and had working relationships with. Production designer, same as Letterkenny and Shoresy. So I already had this relationship with them. I worked with them in Sudbury. But I wanted to use the opportunity of making this movie to help people from my own community to kind of get their foot in the door. And the year before, I had met all of these younger people in Kahnawake at this film symposium, and I was like, oh my gosh, because I hadn't really been back home in a while, and I was like, oh my god, there's people who want to do what I am doing, you know, in different capacities and stuff. So I met these guys, I took down their names, and then when I actually got the funding, I was like, would you be interested in actually coming up to North Bay and being a part of my movie? And we'll get, so it was to train, it was a trainee program, and so I brought 4 people. One person was my assistant, and because I was wearing so many hats, so I needed somebody to like literally make me a smoothie in the morning and make sure I was hydrated and, you know, that kind of stuff. But also like memorize my lines and like, you know, so there was him, there was a guy who did lighting, trainee in lighting, and there was another one in props, and there was one in the set, like set deck, and then one in post-production in editing. So that was very, very important to me. And there was moments where, you know, because like when you're an Indigenous actor and you're on certain sets and you're the only Indigenous person and you're trying to like tell this storyline, and then suddenly like you have the set designer being like, or whoever being like, is this like, you know, they'll put up something that's completely not the nation that you're representing or something, you know, and then you're like, oh my god, I have to be the cultural representative too. Or they like expect me just because I'm Indigenous that like I know how to speak Anishinaabe or sort of, you know, I'm like, there's many of us, okay? So there was this one, just to give an example of how valuable it is to have other Indigenous eyes on set. You know what the Five Nations flag is, right? You know, the like the Haudenosaunee flag. Anyway, so everybody has these fleece blankets, right? Yeah, I don't know what that is. When I was in high school, we learned to memorize it, Skook. So Seneca, Cayuga, Onondaga, Oneida, and Kaniehtiio. And then Tuscarora came on. But, so that everybody has these fleece blankets at home. I don't know, they're giant fleece blankets of this flag. And so we had it on set, and it was draped over the back of a couch, as they usually are. And my friend, who was in like set decorator, she's like, hey, look, they have like a blanket, it's like upside down. And then Eva was like, oh my god, stop everything! You know, and she's like, we have to switch the blanket, it's upside down. And some people would never care, but if I have some Haudenosaunee person watching that and they see like, look at the fucking blankets upside down, you know, I'm never gonna let that down. So there's certain things like that, which is just like so lovely, having been in the industry for 20 years, to have that around. And then I would have like my cousin, I mean, that's not why he got the job, but he was in props, one of the trainees, and he would like, you know, give me shit, like tease me before a take or something, or like, it was just, there was this awesome camaraderie and family feeling on set. And yeah, or like I'd like look over and be like, I don't know, what would we say? And then he'd be like, oh, you know, and then give me like an idea or something. And yeah, so it's very valuable to have that support.
What a great story to you know, be able to say, I'm sharing and returning the gift back to younger community members following in your footsteps. That's amazing to kind of hear that was even part of the process, so.
Yeah, it had to be. I mean, I don't think I would have, that like meant so much to me, and every time I talk about this film, I always bring that up. I think we need to do more of that, as much as we can. And I'm very cool with like, you know, us getting into, you know, acting and writing and stuff, but my thing is I want to push our people to get into the other spaces. Like we need sound people, we need, you know, costume designers, you know, like heads of department, I'm saying, and we need PR people, Indigenous agents, like, you know, not secret agents, like agents and managers. Yeah, I think we need to, you know, infiltrate everywhere.
Fair enough, yeah,
Right.
sounds good, sounds like a plan.
It's my warfare line.
Oh man, so do you have a favorite memory from either being on set or being like that, we might see something in the film and then behind the scenes you're like, oh, this happened or whatever, that's a favorite memory of yours?
Oh my god, there's like a bazillion, but the ancestor scene, okay, my original concept was like me and Dallas dressed up, like a huge field, like a old school, olden times, huge field, and like me and Dallas dressed up in different like time periods as representing ancestors of like all generations for generations and generations and generations. That was my concept, but we couldn't afford that, obviously. So I had to like settle with 8 ancestors. And one was me, obviously, and then the little kid is my son, and then the older woman is my mother, who's 85. My niece, who is here somewhere, but I think she's out there with my daughter, she was in it. She was like planting the seed or the plant. And then there's another niece. And yeah, so I think having them there was it was just nice, you know, they got to kind of play and get dressed up and do a costume fitting, and yeah, that really meant a lot to me.
Yeah. So I want to open it up to the audience for any questions. We do have a microphone set up here. Come on up to the mic, Dr. Bouquet.
Me first. That's my. Ani Basho, Bimadash Kaniehtiio Horn. Hi, welcome to our campus. My name is Dr. Punkan. I teach in Native American Studies under April. My big question is Dallas Goldtooth super hot in real life or what?
It's like legit, I don't know. I'm like genuinely laughing in all of those scenes too. He's so annoyingly funny. Yeah, we really truly have that kind of relationship. He's just like my cousin, my annoying cousin, truly, yeah.
I like how she answered you.
My question is, how did you get Graham Greene to do that?
Yeah, of course, that was also very special. I should say that too. But I had met Graham Greene, I'd say like 2011 or 2012. I was on this show called Defiance, and I was playing an alien, and I had like prosthetic makeup on, like orange eyeballs and like orange dreadlocks and a crazy outfit. And I had grown up watching this movie, Clear Cut, which I referenced in the movie. Like on my res, we would go and like rent it at Ojokwa, one of the many video rental stores on my res. And especially right after 1990, the Oka crisis and like the blockade, I don't know if you know about it. But my family was a part of it, my community was a part of it and stuff. And it was just like a very violent time. And then this movie came out like 6 months later, and so we would watch it all the time. It was just like really cathartic, if you know the movie, you know why. And so it was really cool to watch. And then as I got older, and after I went to theater school, and I started to appreciate the art form of performance, watching that performance by Graham is just like, you can tell he's having fun. You can tell, like, there's just this twinkle in his eye, and it's just so badass and fun to watch. And then, so when I was on this show, Defiance, everybody was like kissing his ass, and, you know, like, oh my God, I love you from this, oh wow, Graham, can I, you know, get a selfie and this and that. And then I just kind of waited for them all to clear the way. And I went up to him and I was like, hi, like kind of more privately, and I was like, my name is Kaniehtiio. I'm from Kaniehtiio, Mohawk. Like, obviously, it's kind of just funny in my head because I have like orange hair, like what is he? And like orange eyeball. Like, look it up. My character's name was Ryn, Rynn. I look crazy. So I'm like, I'm from Kaniehtiio. I just wanted to meet you and say, my family, we used to really, like, we love Clear Cut, like truly love it. And he was like, whoa, that's dark. And then he gave me his email, and then we kind of just, like if you look at our resumes, but this is kind of just how it is in Indian country, I guess. Like there's a lot of things we've been in together, but like never shared the screen at the same time and stuff. And so we kind of like cross paths, and every once in a while he would email me, or I would email him. I'd be like, hey, what's up, Uncle G? Like, how are you? You know, what are you up to? And he's like, oh, my niece, I'm over here. How are you? You know? And then I was writing this movie, and I love true crime and love forensic files. And I would literally go to sleep listening to forensic files. Like the guy's voice just like lulls me to sleep while he's talking about like a homicide and stuff. And so I was like, oh man, it'd be so funny if I could get like, I don't know, Peter Thomas, the guy's name is Peter Thomas. I was like, it would be so funny to get like Peter Thomas to like be in my movie. And then right after I had that thought, I Googled him and he died like a year and a half before that. I was like, oh, okay, scratch that. And then I was like, wait a second, Graham Greene has a crazy show too. And that show that's in there is a real show. Some people are like, how did you, I'm like, I didn't age Graham Greene backwards. Like, so that's from the early 2000s. It's a Canadian forensic show. So I was like, this is 1,000 times better than Forensic Files and Peter Thomas, hello. So I wrote it, I never really I think I told him like, oh, I'm writing something, there might be a part in it for you. And then I finally got like to the point where I basically got funding and people were like, so did you get like Graham Greene in it? I'm like, I still have to ask him. And then I was kind of like, so I got money to do this movie and there's a part in there for you, like, can you do it? I'll send it to you. And then he was like, that is crazy. Yes, I'll do whatever you want, my niece. And then he just did it. Like in one day, we had him for 8 hours. And yeah, he was like lovely. And yeah, I don't know. I'm super, super grateful that he even agreed. It's just wild. And then now it's just even more strange, you know? And he was like my weird spirit guide, but as himself. And
Yeah, and how lucky that you're able to have those memories, knowing that it wasn't too long ago. We lost him as a giant in the industry and on this earth, right? Yeah.
I know he wasn't just like a great Indigenous actor. He was like a great actor, you know, truly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Next.
What was one of the most difficult processes making this movie, and is there anything you wish you'd known before making this?
Ooh, good questions. Okay, difficult process. The writing was really hard for me. That was my first time writing anything, so it's like I knew where I wanted to start, and then I knew, like there were certain things in there that I like wanted for sure, like the torture. That is, it's like a torture, I was based it off of this torture. Okay, so I was in this show called Barkskins, and we shot it in 2019, and it takes place in New France, a lot about my people and stuff, and so I was in there, and this Anishinaabe guy, Mickey Pensano, was a writer and producer on it. So I was really already into like torture and like my people and the history and stuff like that, and I remember my cousin was like, oh my God, did you ever read the Brebeuf torture? The account of the torture of Brebeuf. It's so funny. And so he sent it to me, and it's from the Jesuit Relations. And it's actually kind of funny. Like there was some lines in there that I actually kind of stole. Just like the way it's written and the way like we're such assholes, you know? And like how she's like, I'm gonna baptize you so you go into, like that's ripped directly from the Jesuit Relations. So I kind of got this interest in my people's torture, and I wanted it to lead up to that. So I'm very interested in like how, that's only like 200 or so years ago, like how can a person get to that point? What would drive you to their mindset? Like our people were known for doing stuff like that in wartime, you know, and the only time that you ever get to a place like that is if you have tried every single way peacefully to resolve an issue. And then, you know, if shit ain't working out, then I'm gonna eat your heart. So I wanted that in there. I wanted to get from here to like her fucking eating a heart. Actually, anyways, yeah. So, but I was like, wow, there's all kind of stuff in the middle I have to write too. So that was really, really hard. It was everything else, you know, the writing. It was new, I was learning. And then, what was the second question again? I know it was like, what did I learn? Or what did I wish I knew before? I wish I knew not to write myself into like almost every scene. So when I do this again, I'm not gonna write myself into like every single scene, because that was like, I only had one day where I didn't have to put on hair and makeup out of 17 days. So every day I would have to go in super early and put my hair and makeup on, even if I wasn't in the first scene or something. And if it was just the bad guy and I'm like directing him to like walk down a hallway, I'm like all in hair and makeup, which is irritating. So yeah, so that I wouldn't write myself into every single scene.
Hello. The language integration was hella smooth, and you mentioned to some degree you had input on set. I wonder how much of that was in script at day one, and how much of that got tweaked as shooting went along.
Yeah, good question. That was in since day one. I am like surrounded by speakers. I'm not a speaker. I'm more like, I don't know, like I can understand. I don't know, you know, like I get it and I'll always answer in English. Unfortunately, my mom is a first language speaker. My like gay husband is a teacher, linguist, and he was the one who, he's not really my husband, it's just like my cousin who's gay, but basically my husband. And he did all of the translations and he coached on everything, and he would listen to every take and be like, you know, give me, you know, pointers and whatnot. He also did the translations and was in the sound booth for Assassin's Creed 3. If you're like familiar with that, it's like tons of Kaniehtiio in there. And I mean, it basically all is in the language. So I had him, and then my cousins are like, just have like my partner is a speaker. So it's just everywhere, and I just know conversations like go like that. Like it's like half English, half in the language. You know, there's words here and there, and it was just important to me that there was, you know, if not just peppered in there, like at least have like one good scene where there's the language. And yeah, no, it was always in there. That's like very. It's just It wasn't anything that I was like making up. Like it's just kind of how we talk back home, especially with the like huge push on language revitalization within my community and stuff. Like my whole lifetime, it's been like, you know, you need to speak that language. So, yeah.
All right, I have to ask.
Potato.
No, I wasn't even thinking about that.
Potato. I'm like, nobody would be crying when a woman gets freaking bashed in the head, you know? But everyone's crying about the cat. But listen, Potato had justice.
Yeah, potato head justice. No, I was
Like a lot of justice.
I was gonna switch gears and go to Dear Lady.
Oh, okay.
That episode. I don't want to talk too much about it, but at the same time, what did it mean to you to play Dear Lady in Sterling's work?
I mean, it meant a lot. They were casting this during the friggin' pandemic, and I was pregnant. I was like, fuck, am I gonna get a job on this or what? And then finally I got an audition, and I was like, oh, okay, good. And so I get this audition for Dear Lady, and I message Migsy. I'm like, what the hell is this? What do you know about Dear Lady? What is going on here? And then so he calls me, and he was like, well, it's like this, they have this story, you know, down in Oklahoma, and there's like this being and blah, blah, and he starts telling me about it. I was like, oh, the hoof lady. We had the literal exact same thing back home. So I was like, I got this. And so I had to tape in my bathroom, because I lived in a studio apartment above my mom's house, when my son was sleeping nap time. So I taped, sent that in, then I had to do like a Zoom audition with Sterling and the casting director. And after I did my take, he was like, Dio, are you the Dear Lady? I'm like, whatever you want me to be, just give me a job. So I got the job. And then I think part of the cool thing was, you know, I think he kind of works a little bit the same with me when creating a character, but when I asked Sterling, I said, like, what are 2 or 3 songs, like what would Dear Lady listen, like what did you listen to anything when you wrote this role? Like, what did you listen to? And he sent me a couple of songs. One is by Roger Miller, and the other one's by this fucking native guitarist that I cannot remember off right now what his name is. But he plays it, he uses the song all the time in his show and in Lowdown, it's even in the Lowdown. So he sent me a couple songs, and I was like, oh, okay. And then he sent me some pictures of his parents in the 70s and 80s, and I was like, oh, okay, I got this. And yeah, so that's kind of how she was born, and I got these like big brown contacts, because I wanted to have like big doe eyes, and then when they finally wrote me an awesome episode, I was like, oh, it took you 3 years. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I read it and I was like, holy shit. Are you guys gonna have a trigger warning before you show this? Like like even me reading it, I was like, this is fucking intense. And they were like, good idea. So, so when we did it, you know, it was, I mean, it was cathartic in a way. It was fun, and it was, yeah, I don't know. It was all kinds of, I want to play her again. I want to, like, she is not dead. She will come back somehow, I hope. And yeah, just the fact that it was around boarding schools, and it kind of taught me that America really does not know what's up, you know? Like, this has been a conversation in Canada for 30 years, I don't know, like a long time, you know? Like, since I was a kid at least. And I mean, there's still people who are like, what? I had no idea. But it's like, okay, you truly live under a rock in Canada if you don't know about what we call them residential schools up there. So it just it became like very, very important, which was really like cool and felt like an honor to be a part of something like that. And then when it came out, I was actually editing Seeds, and I was like lying on my editor's couch, and I wasn't even allowed to like freaking post about the Dear Lady episode because it was the writer's strike and the actors' strike. So I was like, I'm not even allowed to celebrate this, damn it. But it was cool to watch, to see online like all of the reactions, and but I remember lying there editing my crazy movie you just watched, and I was like, I think I have like a lot of rage in me. And my editor's like, yeah, you think? Like, really? Like, she like turned around at me and she's like, yeah. I was like, oh, wow. Like, it was sort of this thing that I realized because but it like, for the first time in my life, I think I was seeing that for the first time in my life, I wasn't putting that rage on myself by abusing substances, by, you know, whatever, cutting myself, whatever I used to do. And I was actually channeling this into something that was, you know, storytelling and like in a way healthy. And, you know, like, I mean, after I would do a take, except for a couple of them, there was one where I was like, that was fucking intense. Like when I think actually go up to the thing and knock on the door in the Dear Lady episode right before I'm about to kill him. That was intense. But after, you know, every take, I'd be like, all right, what's up? What are we having for lunch? You know, because you kind of just have to be like that. And after doing this for 20 years, you kind of get like that. But yeah, it was interesting to realize that through the Dear Lady episode and Seeds simultaneously kind of coming to life at the same time.
Well, it's been a gift to be able to watch it and enjoy all the work that you've been doing. One thing that I'm grateful for that one of my besties, Pamela, introduced me to was your podcast. Talk really quick about that.
Yes, I have this podcast called Coffee with My Ma. It kind of came to life around 2016, 2017. I was like traveling a lot, and I would go and hang out with my mom who lived downstairs from me. So I would be like, put the pot of coffee on, I'm coming down. And I'd be like hungover and, you know, fucked up or something. And then she'd just be like telling stories. And then she started telling this story about when she was at like Robert Kennedy's funeral. I was like, this is wild. Can I recorded it. And then I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. And then I just started recording her more and more. I'd be like, can you tell me that story about the rats? Or can you tell me the story about the time you punched that guy in the face? And then, you know, this and that. And just crazy fucking stories. My mom's got crazy stories. She's iconic, truly. And, you know, like many women and many indigenous women or people of color, just women in general from that era. She was born in 1940, just like any, you know, the past, but even so a little bit now. But she was silenced, right? Like nobody remembers all of these things that she did, and I just felt like I wanted her, like she did incredible things, especially with Native rights in Canada, especially bringing up missing and murdered Indigenous women way before anybody was really talking about it. So my mission kind of was like, once I figured out with all of these recordings that I had, was like, what the fuck am I gonna do with these? Because I would just be traveling and I just listen to it and you know, hear her like laughing and then me being like, wait, you know, and then us laughing and talking and then me being like, what? You never fucking told me that? You know, shit like that. So I'd be listening to it and I'm like, I feel like that's part of the charm is the fact that we're talking with each other, like it's like a real conversation. And so then I discovered true crime podcasts. And I was like, these women are making these podcasts like in their closet while their kids sleep, like, you know, like this like 10 years ago. And I was like, I could fucking do this. So that's how I decided to make the podcast. And I was like, I don't know how to do anything, so I'm just gonna model it like a TV show. So like 13 episodes, and then I had to figure out branding. I had to figure out like how to kind of edit. I had to figure out all of this stuff. It was like a one-woman show. So then when I got a second season, I hired my niece, who's over there. Everybody look at her, she's carrying my baby. That's her, Kaniehtiio. And now she's a producer, and she produced this season 2, and then we just submitted a grant to do a podcast with my sister Wanique. Sort of like a different kind of, like more conversational, weekly kind of podcast. So hopefully we get that, but listen to Coffee with My Ma, it's like, it's fun.
Absolutely. What is the future for you?
Well, hopefully I get that grant to make a podcast with my sister Wanique. I'm on this show called The Lowdown, and my like big episode was last night. And what else? Oh, I got a grant to make this short film that I wrote like 10 years ago about my mom, and she was protesting all of these municipalities dumping their waste on my res. 33 municipalities were using the res as a dumping ground. So the government wasn't doing anything, federal government, Indian affairs. So her and her aunties and her little brother collected all of these mice and rats that they found in their gardens and in their homes, and dead and alive. And then they went there and hilarity ensues, and they released the rats and they went all over the building. Anyway, so I wrote a short film and I want to play my mom, so I'm going to shoot that next summer. And there's an episode on the podcast about the rats. So you can get like a little tease on what the short will be. And then I'm also writing a feature film. Like I have to get started, I'm just kidding. I have all the notes, I'm writing it over the next few weeks, and it's about like a coming of age kind of comedy, super violent as well, because apparently that's my thing. About living and growing up in Kaniehtiio in 1992, and it follows a mother and 2 daughters, a teenager and like an 8-year-old, and yeah, just basically like a weekend in the life of these people. You know, if you know anything about that thing that happened in 1990, then you kind of get an idea of like what it might have been like. And yeah, also the 90s is fun. The hair is gonna be wild. The music's gonna be insane. And yeah, so that's kind of what I'm up to. And I'm also on a cartoon called Grimsburg. I never dropped that, but we don't have it in Canada. I'm on this cartoon and it's on Netflix and Fox. And it's super good, but I never see it. But I've seen a few episodes. It's really funny. It's with John Hamm. I know. I never met him.
Work in studios in opposite countries, yeah. Oh my gosh, please join me in giving Kaniehtiio Horn a round of applause. Thank you so much to our multi-talented powerhouse for looking so forward to seeing your future unfold in amazing ways, and people like you've already shared it with so much. So many gifts, thank you. Yeah. We do, oh, you've got one now, Kurt.
Hello, my name is Kurt Klingman with the C on Facebook. I got 2 questions, maybe 3. First question, can I be on Seeds 2, an actor? Second question, if not, can I be all-time smoothie maker? Third question, do you know Trailer Park Boys, Bubbles?
Do I know Bubbles? I don't know Bubbles, but I was at an event once and my table was next to them and I saw them like within arm's reach, but I never
We
met
get a
them.
home, y'all?
All right, thank you so very much. We do have a little photo wall outside. Hopefully we'll get some pictures and people get to meet and greet a little bit out there. All right, thank you so much for coming. This was presented by the NMU Center for Native American Studies.